sports, and politics. Get ready to rumble! You wanna talk smack? You in the right place. So take a step back before I get all up in your
remember, because I don't remember. I remember every bit of this.
You're the dudes holding on the phone line. Your voice will be heard, sir.
Next caller, please.
Jerry's gonna get him.
Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics. Fantasy, sports, and politics.
Listeners are asking questions about this week's games, not Jerry's personal beef. So what's your thought?
Hello, everybody. It's me, Mr. FSP, doing what I do because I do it for you. Sorry I missed y'all last week. I do not know the virus that is going around, but I'm going to tell you this. It was terrible for me. This is like day 3 of me being able to talk without having to take a pause to get my breath, getting all this ick out of my body, having energy to just do anything. Life, what does Maya Angelou say? Life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had holes in it. And it has. Things have been chaotic because of this illness that I suffered. And trust me, I wanted to be on last week, but I just couldn't. My body would not allow it. Literally. But I'm a believer in God, and I'm a believer in going through whatever it is that he's going to have me go through to achieve the things that he wants me to achieve. And this week, he said, Victor, you're going to have a lot of good things happen to you this week. So he already started with the goodness. And then he said, you know what? Go ahead and do your show. So I'm back. I'm doing the show. And last week, I'll be honest with you, I would have been, in my predictions, I would have been, 1 and whatever. I had Houston losing to the Chargers. I had Denver upsetting Buffalo. I had Green Bay, beating Philly. And I had the Commanders. Of course, I'm a Commanders fan. But it's okay because it's a new day. Also, I was off on the college football playoff. Like I told you, that week was terrible. I'm going to put on the illness. I'm going to put on the illness that my predictions were off, even though you guys didn't know about them. I'm that type of guy. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you what I had and, what was the plan and all that other stuff. And I would have been coming on here like extremely humble. I'm still going to be humble because God brought me through whatever whatever illness it was, because it ain't little. I would not wish this on Mr. Taylor. I wouldn't. I would like for him to feel it, but I wouldn't put it on him because I literally thought I was dying. Literally thought I was dying. But I'm on here. I'm ready to get to these. It's the final countdown, the final 4 in the NFL, so to speak. So the final 4 games before we get to the conference or division championships, whatever they're called. Excuse me. And that's another thing. I'm just getting my energy back. It's a bad feeling. But things are moving and grooving. I'm going to bring on Mr. Taylor. He's popping on. So I'm gonna bring him on. But I'm telling you guys, whatever it is that's going around, it's bad. It's really bad. Be careful. Literally, I went to bed feeling good, woke up, couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything. Completely, like I had in and out of consciousness for a whole day. In and out of consciousness. But hopefully you guys don't get it. But I will say, last time something like swept the nation or the world that was crippling folks, it's called COVID. And we had a certain person in office. Come Monday, that same person's going to be in office. I'm not saying it's any coincidence like the plague or the book of Revelations, like things will burn by fire and stuff like that, wildfires. And you'll have the frogs and the toads and all this other stuff, whatever this virus is. But get right. Get right. That's all I can tell you. But let me bring in my co-host. Let me bring in my guest real quick, Mr. Taylor, and see what he's talking about. He's zipped up to the neck. You look like I was last week, except, wow, Mr. Taylor.
Sorry to hear about your illness. Didn't know about it, but
Of course not. You don't check.
wait a minute.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I just took a shot. Because did you check on Q? You know Q lives in LA where those wildfires are happening, right?
Yeah, but the neighborhood where he was at, I don't think he got affected.
He got affected.
Oh, he did?
Yeah. If you check on people, yeah. But he wasn't as affected as others. I don't know about Christopher though. Christopher may have been one of the people really affected, but yeah, you might want to check on people.
Okay. Well, I understand. But I do have a life too, and I do have things going on that are health risk type of things that I don't think of everybody. I got to think of family first. So I apologize for not checking up on people, but
you ain't got to apologize for that.
No, I apologize for not checking up on people, and
excuse me.
Both of us have gone through phases that we haven't checked up on each other. I'll just say that. So I didn't know.
People do text and don't get left on red for like 4 months, but hey,
like I said,
I'm not worried about that. I was just taking a shot to take a shot.
I know that.
That's all.
That's all right. I don't take shots. I know.
You just need people to read.
I don't take shots because you never know what's going on in people's lives. So I don't take shots.
Yeah.
So
why are you zipped up like it's freezing in your house? Is it freezing in your house?
It's let me put it this way. And it's not freezing in my house, but it's
he ain't got no t-shirt on. I just saw the Al Green. I'm so tired.
So I mean, what I'm saying is this.
I should have did
at
that.
times it gets a little chilly. It's living in the Northeast, and at times it's not toasty within my realm. Not that I can't change it, but at times the temperature.
Put a damn shirt on.
I don't have a shirt on. I'm at home. What the heck?
I'm gonna get some hot grits for you. I'm gonna get some hot grits.
Anyway. I'm sorry that you were feeling way under the weather. I don't know what you had. I don't know if it wasn't COVID, it could have been a couple of other things too. So
is this unknown? It masked as COVID, but it is first time I've ever felt like that from an illness in a very, very long time. I mean, it was bad. It was. I lost 10 pounds, and I was not in a good space. Right now, I look like Samuel Jackson from that movie, but I really look like Samuel Jackson from that movie. I mean, you just don't know. But we're not talking about me. We're not talking about my health or anything like that. Let's get into what's about to go down. We've got Final Four games leading up to the Super Bowl. It was chalk in the AFC. I really thought there was a chance for the Chargers and for Denver to disrupt that. But playoff football showed that some people were pretenders and some people were for real. And on the NFC side, I had a feeling Washington can do it because from week 1, Washington has made massive changes on the defensive side of the ball, and they have drastically improved on the offensive side of the ball. While Tampa Bay was dealing with issues, but still very, very formidable. What I did not expect was Minnesota to go out like they did. I did not expect 9 sacks of Sam Darnold. Maybe 1 or 2 of them I give to him, but the other 7, that offensive line just did not show up. I expected Minnesota to make a push. Also, Philly, they just played Philly ball. And Green Bay went in there hurt already, but then lost key players during the game. Again, the only team that broke the chalk from NFC and AFC is the Commanders. So now we have MVP matchup, as they want to call it. Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson. But the bigger key is, are they going to run the king like they should? Because then that takes Lamar versus Josh out of this. It becomes Lamar and the king versus the defense of Buffalo and Josh Allen. James Cook is a good back who should do well, but if Baltimore does what they're capable of doing, I don't know what you're doing, but Cook, that is, will create a situation that's nice for Josh to throw the ball to the receivers. Now, the receivers got to catch the ball, of course, but we'll see with that. Houston, look, that defense played inspired versus the Chargers. They actually did what I thought the Chargers would do to Houston. Literally. I don't think they can do that again versus Kansas City. Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Isaiah Pacheco, Travis Kelce, Pat Mahomes. I don't think it's going to happen. Then you've got Philly and the Rams. The Rams, to me, are aberration. Even though they sacked Sam Darnold 9 times and won the game convincingly, they do not look like a team that's capable of putting it all together to beat Philly. Jared Verse is a very good player. And here's the other thing. Defensive Rookie of the Year versus Defensive Rookie of the Year. The lockdown corner in Nicholson and the edge rushing machine, Jared Verse. He's not going to be able to rush the edge because I don't think they're going to throw the ball a lot. That's where he's effective. We'll see. Washington and Detroit. David Montgomery's supposed to be back. That's key. That is key. Washington's run defense is not that good. It is not that good. But if Washington can control the clock and get in the end zone, I don't think we're going to see punters from either one of these teams. You can forget the punters. I really think they're both going for it regardless. And I wanted to slap Dan Quinn so many times versus Tampa Bay. Ultimately, we got the W, but we should have had more points to not be put in that last-second situation. But it is what it is. You go for it. He's the head coach. He makes the decisions. Those are the matchups. And Mr. Taylor had his, I guess he was palming something and whatever. But, hey, guys, here's my dude right here. Hey, guys, I just got to want to know your thoughts on Ben Johnson to Raiders and bringing Hendon Hooker at QB. Q, first of all, I'm glad you're in a good situation. And Johnson to the Raiders is a good thing offensively, but I want to know who his defensive coordinator is. I want to know who his defensive coordinator is. If he brings Hendon Hooker, that's a development. That's not a we're going to be fixed situation. Hendon is still a developmental quarterback, even though he's been in the league 4 years. When you go get Teddy Bridgewater off of the shelf fresh from coaching a state championship to back up Jared Goff in the playoffs, that doesn't speak well for Hendon. But if you get him, that's great. But you also need to draft somebody. Sullivan or O'Connell is not – he's not the answer. That experiment's done, in my opinion. So that's my thoughts. I like having him there for competition. And I love what he did in college, but that was college. And you got to give him an offensive line and some players to work with. Mr. Taylor's hands are shaking and holding it like, I don't know why, but I'll let him go ahead.
Well, my hands are empty.
Look, first of all, I know what you mean by that. Ladies and gentlemen, because I have it sitting right here. The nameplate just got confirmed shipped.
No problem. I just
and it's going to be placed on the trophy.
Okay.
And you can put it together when you get it and display it.
No
I
problem.
don't have to do it, but I'm just saying it's on the way.
No
Let a real person speak on it. Oh, Q, don't play these games with me. Who's the only one that checked on you? Remember that.
Don't even go. Kill. I apologize profusely that I didn't check on you. And it's not that I didn't care. It's just the fact is a lot of things been going on in my life over the last several months. And I got my priorities in a different place.
That's right. I was on my deathbed and I still checked on them. But, priorities are priorities. You're right.
Anyway. You know who's the team that takes the most chances on fourth down?
Washington.
Yes.
So
I imagine there won't be too much punting or field goals in this game. Okay? I imagine I'm excited to see this game. I don't think Washington is going to win this game. I think Detroit playing at home, it had the big advantage, especially playing inside. But I'm excited to see what this rookie Jaden Daniels can do and how much of a scare they're going to put into the Detroit Lions, because, like I said, these are two, and you wouldn't think it, because the headlines go with the Detroit head coach Stan Campbell in being aggressive, but these are the two most aggressive teams with the coaches in the NFL. So, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't see too much field goals or punting in this game. I think these guys are going to be highly aggressive and are going to push the proverbial buttons on their on the defense to try to stop whatever they're trying to do to get a fourth down and keep on moving the ball down the field. I think this game a lot of touchdowns, not a lot, like I said, field goals or whatever, because they're so aggressive. I'm anxious to see this team. I ain't feeling, you know how I feel about Lamar Jackson. You know how I feel about Lamar Jackson. He ain't the most reliable player in the playoffs. He's not the most reliable player in the playoffs. And just like, and I'm not putting a knock on you, just understand that. Just because he got beat the first time, meaning Josh Allen got beat the first time, doesn't mean that a performance is going to happen. Just like I repeat this, it's hard to beat a team a second time. It's hard to beat a team the second time in the same season. So it's not a knock on you, man. Trust what I'm saying.
Oh no, I beat you twice. I just didn't beat you 3 times.
Well,
that's all. I beat you twice. I just didn't beat you a third time.
Well, let me put it this way.
That season's over with. It's no need to talk about it.
Well, you just did. You just did.
And then I just closed it.
You just did.
I just closed it.
You just closed just like that. All of a sudden, just like that. You open and close it just like that. And I'm supposed to move on, not respond to it. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. No problem, Victor. No problem. Because you can see next to the JT what it is. Anyway, I'm just saying. Anyway, I'm not a big Lamar fan. You know that in the playoffs. You know that. They're playing at home. It didn't make a difference playing at home against a really good opponent. They beat him the first time. Okay. Now you beat him the second time when it really counts. It's one and done. And the pressure's more on, in my opinion, Lamar, because more is expected of Lamar than the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. I don't think this is going to determine who's the MVP. I think everybody knows who's the MVP, in my opinion, and that's Josh Allen. But it is what it is. It is what it is.
First of all,
who was more?
Okay, I'm going to tell you.
Okay, no problem. Go ahead.
I got to get my breath after that coughing spell. First of all, ladies and gentlemen, these are all opinions.
Yep.
And each one of us have our varying views. And this is what I was about to say. Lamar has way better numbers. Now, the argument, and I'm not going to even make it an argument. You already said what you had to say. I'm going to say what I have to say, and it's going to be over with.
I haven't finished.
So here's the thing. In my opinion, Lamar Jackson, or Saquon Barkley for that matter, are the MVPs of the league. Now, Saquon Barkley should be the offensive player of the year since he's not going to get MVP. But Lamar Jackson's numbers are his best numbers ever. And he's already had the MVP twice with less numbers. Josh Allen's numbers are very good. They're just below Lamar, but the MVP is most valuable player. And if you take Lamar off the Ravens, you still got Derrick Henry.
Yep.
But but you don't have that fear at quarterback. And stacking the box versus the Ravens will be a whole lot easier and make things a lot more difficult for the Ravens to win. You take Josh Allen off of the Bills, and you lose that running dynamic, but you also already have a quarterback there that can still distribute the ball and again, a run game.
You can't be serious.
But
okay.
at the beginning of this year, like I said, you know, Josh Allen doesn't have anything. Even when they went out and got Amari Cooper, who you all know I think is trash. Some people love him, but it is what it is. I'm not going to trash them for liking a trash player. I mean, they like crab legs. And I want to show you guys this commercial. I thought it wasn't real, but it's real. And if it's any Cleveland Brown fan or anybody that wants to be a knick-knack paddywhack, it's so Jameis Winston. But I'm not going to get on that.
Guess what?
I'm going to stick to what I said I was going to stick to.
Paddywhack is a neighborhood champ.
I'm sticking to what I was going to stick to. Josh Allen is a very good and comparable MVP candidate, but he's not the MVP this year, in my opinion, if I had a vote. I think it's going to be close. I really think it's going to be close because you're going to have those who say Josh Allen did all these things with so little. Then you have people who's going to say Lamar deserves it because this, that, and the third. And I equate it to the fact that Joe Burrow has all these great numbers, but a terrible record and couldn't make the playoffs. Sam Darnold had a great season coming from the ashes of being labeled as a bust, but he fizzled out too on his last game. But do you know who the leading candidate for comeback player of the year is based off of a rule that isn't a rule? Joe Burrow. And he gets hurt every year, so he can conceivably be considered the comeback player every year. Where a guy like Sam Darnold was left on the burning scrap heap, not just a scrap heap, but the burning scrap heap, and took his team to the playoffs and did all these things. Does Sam deserve it? I think so, and I hope he gets it. But the way things are in the NFL, they're probably going to give it to Joe Burrow. And that's what my equation between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Although Lamar has the numbers like Joe Burrow, but Lamar has had his best numbers ever this year. Sam Darnold, best ever numbers in his career have to be considered a bust. Josh Allen, everybody knows what he is. Everybody. And he did a lot with what little he did have. But
that's my point.
Excuse me. That's why I use the comparison of Burrow versus Donald, Allen versus Lamar. Because depending on how you are as a voter in this subject matter, it'll determine who wins. And that's why I think both will be close. Because you're going to have some people, and I hope to God enough people that vote for Sam Darnold because they're like, this is truly a comeback story. Truly. The rule be damned that you and just so people know what the rule is, it's not a rule. It's a strongly worded suggestion that you vote for somebody that's come back from an injury because they don't want to have like a bad Joe Flacco comeback of the year thing like they did last year. But I'm like, that's a totally different situation. Totally different. Because Joe Burrow, sprained some ligaments in his shoulder or something like that. Okay. He has a sprained knee. He has this every other year. Every other year. Does that make him the comeback player of the year? Because he almost got his team to the playoffs? That he just barely led the league. Well, not just barely, but he led the league in passing and touchdowns, which is a great feat. But you expect that from Joe Burrow when healthy.
Can I speak now?
Sure, but not about that because we're moving off of it. Go ahead. Briefly.
I want to ride you on your coattails. Joe Burrow put up those numbers because his defense was so damn bad. Okay, he had to throw for those numbers because his defense stunk. So, to me, that doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't justify comeback player of the year. He had to do what he had to do because he had such a bad defense. Had the bad, yeah. I see ghosts, but he was seeing ghosts the last game. But for most part of the season, Sam Darnold, in my opinion, should be the comeback player of the year because he had, like you said, he had been left for absolutely dust, a big bust. And I liked him in that offense. I also said that I liked that for coaching quarterbacks and in that offense, and it proved out. You put a decent quarterback with a coach that knows how to coach offense and quarterbacks, and that's what you get from Sam Darnold. Okay, that's what you get from Sam Darnold for the majority of the year.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he should be the comeback player of the year. I mean, it should be hands down. It shouldn't be even close.
I agree.
Because Joe Burrow had to throw for all that garbage because his defense was garbage. So to keep up and even keep him in the game, he had to do what he had to do. Sam Darnold outperformed anybody's expectations.
Agree. But that's why I say Lamar versus Josh is, in my opinion, equal to Sam versus Joe. Now, let's go into the game because we're talking about it, and then we'll go to the Kansas City Houston game just before they kick off and all that other stuff. All right. Harbaugh made a statement yesterday that he didn't want to hold practice outside on the hard turf because the ground was so hard and frozen. So he turned the temperature down inside of their bubble to simulate the weather conditions. If it is that cold outside in Baltimore, odds are it's going to be that cold and more in Buffalo. I think it's a huge mistake to bring the entire practice inside. I say he should have held at least half of the practice outside in the elements with some thump, not tackle, but with some thump. Why? Simulate with Derrick Henry the feeling of tackling Josh Allen in the open field to your defense. Feel that cold crack. There's probably some helmets that get cracked too. Go to the ground maybe once or twice to see how it feels to hit that hard surface. I'm not saying full all-out practice, balls to the wall, everything, but you stretch. You go through a couple of series so people can see what it's like to be standing on the sideline, freezing, right? And then when it's time to do your breakdown and you're running, take that inside. Take that inside. You keep them outside for at least, if the practice is an hour and a half, you keep them outside for at least an hour.
I was saying
And the 45 minutes to an hour. That's reasonable.
Yeah.
That's reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And have hot soup and all that other stuff waiting for them to get everything going again. But you give them that feeling of what 4 hours will be like in worse weather conditions. So I think, to me, that was the first and probably going to be the most costly mistake. The whole thing about Lamar not throwing a touchdown on the road. He doesn't have to throw a touchdown in this game. Will he? I think he'll probably throw one to Andrews. But if I'm looking at this, Buffalo has the big advantage. Knowing what the head coach of the opposition said he did, I'm like, oh, they're scared of the cold. Josh, we're not throwing the ball but like 20 times. We're going to run 40. We're going to run quarterback power. We're going to run James on some counters. And we're going to put it on them. Because it seems like they're scared of the cold. At least their coach is.
I think that this is a running back game. Whether it's Derrick Henry running the football, Justin Hill catching the football, or James Cook running the football. I think this is a running back game, man. Throwing, I think both teams are going to throw at a minimum in this game. They're going to go hard nose and stop my running game, either the quarterback or the running back. And let's see what happens at the end of 4-0 in the fourth quarter. I think that's what happens.
Okay, I agree. But Josh is going to throw the ball. He's going to throw the ball. But I think it should be at a minimum. I think this is a Ty Johnson, James Cook, Josh Allen, and Davis.
Davis is dealing with concussion protocol. I don't know if he's going to be able to play this game.
Well, whatever the case may be, it's a run heavy game in my book. And you would think that would, benefit Baltimore. But last week, they finally did what they were supposed to do, run the ball during a playoff game. Will they do it this time? Or will they go back to like 8 runs and 40 passes in a game that clearly screams Derrick Henry? Clearly. Why they ran Derrick 30-something times last week, I don't know. They didn't need to, but they did. Because this week they're going to need to do it. For the next 2 weeks, if they advance past Buffalo, Baltimore needs to run Derrick Henry over 30 times. Now look, Buffalo's getting a new stadium. It's costing way more than they thought. Still no dome, still no covering, because that's what makes Buffalo. Okay, fine. But now, the window. How tight is that window? Amari Cooper ain't going to be there for a long period of time. And even right now, he doesn't even start. He comes in. The big savior at receiver. He's no Terry McLaurin. I've said that many, many times. I'm not going to rub it in, but I'm just going to keep saying it.
Each year is different. Each year is different. Yes. But my point is Buffalo's window is like this. It's like this. The reason why it's like this, the Chargers are going to be better next year. They're going to get some people that can catch the ball and block. Denver. Oh, yeah.
They're going to be way better next year. Once they figure out who they're, if they can find a lead back, if Skeetaboo goes there, oh my God. That's all you need. That's all you need.
I hate to tell you, brother. I hate to tell you, bro.
But
in Denver.
But Denver's going to be better. Houston, think about it. Stefan's gone. Dale's gone. Stefan's a free agent. Is he coming back next year? I don't know. Nobody wants to deal with his nonsense. But Houston might. Who knows? But they're on the come up. Joe, well, we'll talk about, that game in a minute. But Buffalo, if you do not win this game, which I don't think you will, it's going to be like, okay, all that good hard work for nothing.
Well,
nothing. I've got Baltimore. Who do you have in this game?
That's for both teams. All that hard work for nothing. If either one of these teams lose, I got to go with the home team. I just don't have faith going in the playoffs with Lamar Jackson. He's proven to me. I don't know why, but he's proven to me year after year that he can't come up in big spots. He can't come up in big spots. Everybody's been touting Lamar. Okay, he touted Lamar big time. He won an MVP last year, and he came up short in the playoffs. I can't. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. Okay, I can't go with Lamar Jackson deep into the playoffs.
Because he didn't show up and he just disappeared, right?
Last year,
you can't trust him, can you?
I can't trust him. I can't. Everybody was jumping on Lamar's bandwagon last season when he won the MVP, and he came up short in the playoffs, man. Come on. Okay? I can't do it. And that's not the first time. He's done it several times, not just once. He's done it several times. He may win this, but he'll win it without my vote. I go with Buffalo.
All right, on to Houston and Kansas City. But what y'all remember what he said, when somebody just disappears and don't show up,
what are you talking about?
You just can't trust them.
What are you talking about?
I'm glad.
I just said
I'm glad you said it.
I never said I disappear. I said he doesn't show up. That's what I said.
It's the same thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Okay.
Disappear, not showing up is not the same thing.
Well, whatever. I'm just saying, just disappearing and not saying anything or doing nothing and just being irrelevant and then just popping back up. That's somebody you can't trust. I understand that. I understand your logic. What I'm saying is I understand your logic as to why you don't trust him. I understand.
I can't trust him. I can't trust him.
We're going to Kansas City
over and over again. Come on, man.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You can't trust him.
Give it up, man. Give it up. Jesus Christ.
Let's go Kansas City, Houston. Speaking of people you can't trust, dude, I'm going to tell you, Houston was a huge disappointment going into the last quarter of the season.
All year.
They lost every game up until last week. Joe Mixon is now listed as questionable. Look, he's going to play. Joe's going to play. They need Joe to play. But more importantly, they need Stroud to snap out of it. Remember, last time they played, Tank Dell had his knee dislocated, or I think that's what it was, right?
Yeah.
Dislocated knee.
Yeah.
And Stroud broke down, and he wasn't the same for the rest of the game. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you guys. That defense can't do it by themselves versus Kansas City and all these weapons. CJ Stroud needs to pretend this is the national championship and he wants to win it. Because Nico's there, but he forgot about Dalton Schultz. Michi, he's going to have to step up. He's going to have to step up. Tyler Boyd. This is going to be a game where either CJ Stroud is going to put on a masterful performance and Houston's going to win, or Kansas City in this harsh, cold, bitter weather. And it's middle of the day. It's not even dark.
It's 4:30. 4:30. 4:30.
Yeah, 4:30. At 4:30.
It's a late game.
Yes, but it's not an evening game, meaning the sun hasn't set. It's not as cold as it would be if it was like a 8 o'clock game. So I'm not saying it's going to be warm enough for them to like throw the ball around, but it's going to be hell freezing over cold. And Houston's built for it, but they're not built for it. What do I mean by that? Their run game can be suspect at times, but their run game is what they need to set up all these play action passes to to Nico down the field, to Meach down the field. The screen game is going to be paramount because Kalafkis and Chris Jones are coming. You know they're coming. And you got to get the ball out of your hands quickly if you're CJ Stroud. Let's flip it over to the other side. I'm going to say it again. Hollywood's back. B-Hop's back. Somebody said he was washed a couple years ago. I don't remember. I do remember who it was, but they were wrong.
He is washed.
Kelsey.
He is washed.
Kelsey is getting a little resurgence. Noah Gray, I believe he got nicked up, but I'm not sure if he's playing or not. But the other tight ends are playing. Is my point? Isaiah Pacheco, and that doesn't even account for what Pat can do on his own. I told you guys at the beginning of the season, I got Detroit and Kansas City in the Super Bowl. And I said I got Kansas City three-peating. I said this in the summertime. I said it during the season. And they were winning by hook or by crook. And now they have their weapon. And the biggest weapon, and I really wish it wasn't because I don't want to give him any praise, but is their kicker, Buckner, I should say. That's terrifying. The cold does not bother Kansas City. It's like they're Bane. I was born and inoculated in the depths of blah, blah, blah. That's Kansas City. That is Kansas City. I got Kansas City in this game. Mr. Taylor.
I think they are, and catch this, I think they are worthy, Kansas City. I think they're worthy. I like the rookie they picked up, and he's being used a lot more often than D-Hop and Marquise Brown. He brings more dynamic to the offense, and as the season, really late season, it's coming to fruition that Xavier Worthy is starting to play that.
I forgot about Worthy.
Worthy, and I talked about Worthy all season. Okay, Worthy is playing the Tyreek Hill role more and more. Okay, so you got a lot of weapons, and all those weapons are finally coming to fruition at the end, near the end of the season, regular season, and now into the playoffs. They had a week off. Andy Reid is deadly with a bye, coming off a bye. Deadly with a Houston Texans team that is missing two key pieces out of their offense. The two wide receivers, Tank Dell and Stephon Diggs. So they have to rely mainly on Joe Mixon Dalton Schultz and CJ Stroud. And CJ Stroud had been a huge disappointment from the beginning of the season to now. Huge disappointment. Struggling to produce. I got to go with Kansas City at home, coming off a bye, and against a opponent that is questionable. At best. It's true they got into the second round. True, but the Chargers are the Chargers. They always find some way to lose. They always find some way to lose, and they imploded last week. So I like Kansas City in this matchup.
All right, let's move over to the NFC. Now, they're playing later on tonight. And believe me, I have so much joy in watching the Commanders make it to where they are. And there's even a legit thought that they can pull the upset. I'm gonna make it short and sweet because I can go on and on about how I feel about the Commanders and how I feel about Detroit. I mean, what up, though? You know what I mean? I really think Detroit, their defense, if they're going man to man, which Aaron Glenn loves to do, this is why I say there's a legit shot at Washington winning this game. There is no player, to include Brian Branch, on that defense that can shadow Jaden Daniels. If Aaron Glenn does what he does, which is go man to man versus Jaden Daniels, who's catching him? Who is shadowing him? Because Anzalone, that's cool, but then you're going to have to deal with Austin Eckler or Brian Robinson Jr. Right? That defensive line, they're good pass rush defense, but they're terrible at stopping the run. So either you're going to have to worry about stopping Jaden, or you have to stop Brian Robinson or Austin Eckler. And Terry McLaurin has emerged as the premier contested receiver in the NFL. I'm glad that he's finally getting looked at all over the field and not just on one side. But that also means Naomi Brown, and this is a whole nother thing that Amon-Ra St. Brown says he remembers the names people picked for him. And I'm sorry, I wish I had St. Brown over Brown, I'll be honest with you. But Naomi needs to step up big time in this game. That's right, Mike. Left hand up. Left hand up. That's part of our song. We have a hip hop theme song. But anyway, Naomi Brown needs to step up big time. He cannot just be the one-trick pony. He's got to be that guy that's going to catch things everywhere. Omadiah Zacchaeus, he's good but inconsistent. Jameson Crowder, former Commander, former Redskin back in the day, and a fan favorite. He's a very good receiving threat, but he's not that guy to help Terry. Zach Ertz and the tight end core need to do their thing. What up, baby? I feel you. I love you, Big Mike. Mike is another high school friend of mine, played football with, huge Commanders fan and supporter. Trust me, he'll talk to you. He got that street talk for you. But anyway, but on the flip side, I look at what Detroit has. We can't stop Jamar Gibbs. Bobby Wagner cannot stay with Jamar Gibbs. Bobby Wagner is a run stopper. So the collision between Bobby Wagner and David Montgomery, that's what you're going to look for. That's what you're going to. But Jeremy Chin, here's what I'm about to tell you. Jeremy Chin versus Jamar Gibbs is a hell of a matchup. Gibbs is going to shake him, but Chin is going to chin check him. Jeremy Chin is if you don't know, the nephew of Steve Atwater back in the day. And he hits like Steve Atwater. But then there's also Frankie Louvu. Oh my God. Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions in one game. And they still won. That's how crazy Detroit is. I want to point that. That's how crazy they are. Right? But Washington has a problem in coverage. Sam is still okay. The rookie, he can go against St. Brown or Latimer, who I thought he was going to have a better hold on Mike Evans last week, but he didn't. But Latimer can take care of Jameson.
He's old.
Like you. But
He's old.
The point is, the wild card for me is who's going to cover Sam Laporta? That's my question. Like I said, if Chin is going to be keying in on Gibbs and Frankie is going in on Goff as a blitz or whatever, and you've got Montgomery smacking heads with Bobby Wagner, who's going to be covering Laporta? That's the key for me. Washington does not cover the tight end well at all. They do not. This is why I don't think there's going to be a lot of punts, if any, in this game. There will be field goal tries. There will be. Because it's going to get to the point where it's like, we can't be giving up these points. And the thing about this is Detroit has the best offensive line in football. Absolute best. And Q asked the question earlier. Johnson going to the Raiders. That would be a smart move, especially for Tom Brady. You got a young offensive focused coach who can draw up plays, but he does have a problem changing up in the second half. That is the biggest thing about Johnson that I said last year, even though I wanted him.
Halftime adjustments.
His halftime adjustments are terrible. Terrible. And the comments he made about not, going to Washington or doing an interview with Washington because they'll have a job opening next year or whatever, that might come to bite his ass in the butt. But him in Vegas is a very good fit because it's what Tom wants.
God. Oh my God.
Here we go. Like I said.
He's
That's right, Mike.
Yeah, okay.
That's right, Mike. I told my guest here, Mr. Taylor, we don't play them games, but I have to be an analyst. And I got to break it down from both sides. I think it's going to be a close game. It's definitely going over 50. It's going to come down to a field goal. But this time, I think it's going to be the Lions taking it by a field goal. And I hate to say it, but I just think we can't cover Laporta. And if Johnson does his job, he's going to exploit that situation because we match up very well versus all their weapons, except that one. Will I be surprised if Washington wins? No. But the analyst says, thank you, Mike. I appreciate you, brother. The analyst says, I got to go with Detroit. Mr. Taylor, please. And Mike, I want you to hear everything Mr. Taylor says.
Hear everything.
He's a hater of the Commanders.
Hear everything I have to say. The first thing I'm going to say, and the first thing I'm going to come up with is this. The Detroit Lions defense plays man-to-man 57% of the time. And so I'm looking because he's good. I'm looking at the Commanders to exploit that. I'm looking the Commanders to exploit 57% of the time where Detroit plays in man-to-man. Okay. And my surprise wide receiver is Zacchaeus. Okay, my surprise wide receiver is Zacchaeus because all the attention is going to be with Terry McLaurin. And in my opinion, the better of the two wide receivers between Brown and Zacchaeus is Zacchaeus. Okay, but there's too many weapons on the other side, man. There's too many weapons, and the Commanders' defense is not that good. Okay, the Commanders' defense is not that good. Okay, to keep up with the type of offense in Detroit that is going to be being rained upon them. They're very imaginative. They're very aggressive when they're playing at home. And Jared Goff plays his best games at home. I can't, with all consciousness, go and with the Commanders in this game. Now, I don't think it's going to be close. I like Detroit in this game.
Okay. Let's move on. Last game of the weekend will be Philadelphia and the Rams. Now, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, first of all, this is a great matchup because Nichols, that dude, his first pass interference of the year as a rookie, I want you to remember this, as a rookie, happened last week. Only one. Still hasn't given up a touchdown. It's a different beast when you got Puka Nacua and you got Cup. But the other corner, Dijon, Darius Slay is like the nickel right now. You've got three solid corners versus two of the best receivers in football. And the other secret weapon that the Rams have is Tyler Higbee. He's back. Kyron Williams had a little sprain, I believe he did, but he's going to play. When I look at what the Rams do, it's either going to be feast or famine versus that Eagles defense. The corners for Philly are phenomenal. The defensive line and the linebackers are outstanding. But I got to give the edge to the Rams when it goes offense versus defense. Let's look at Philly's offense. Heavy run team. People making fun of Brown being on the sideline with the self-care book. But think about this. I want y'all to really think about this. What got Brown out of Tennessee? Derrick Henry. The fact that Derrick Henry was being used so much and running the ball that Brown was upset about it because he wasn't getting his numbers. Fast forward. Why is Brown upset now? And they're the number 2 seed. Because Saquon is running the ball. Saquon and that offensive line. Saquon got 2,000 this year. Next year, Saquon will break Eric Dickerson's record with that offensive line. Some people say he's washed, and we know how those people say running backs are washed, and just so happens 2 of them happen to be in the playoffs that are outstanding right now. So go figure, that person's really wrong. But with that offensive line in Philadelphia, where they are, and Saquon, beware. But the problem is this, ladies and gentlemen. If Hurts does not get the ball to Smith, Devontae Smith, and Brown, the Rams have a decent set of linebackers and corners to block up that passing game. They do. But the run game eliminates Jarrett Verse. This is rookie of the year candidate versus rookie of the year candidate, so to speak. How do you eliminate Jarrett Verse? He's a pass rusher. He is not a run stopper. You run the ball with one of the best running backs in football today, or the best running back in football today. and that offensive line. You do not allow him, and it's not him alone, by the way. They have a young defensive front. They do. But they're built to rush the passer. Philly's built to run the ball. If Philly runs the ball well, that play action is going to set up things down the field for Smith, for Brown. But they're going to run, Ricky, run. They're going to have to. If Philadelphia gets in a shootout with the Rams win the game. Listen to what I just said. If Philadelphia gets into a shootout with the Rams win the game. You've got to let Saquon Barkley dictate the pace of this game. Tell A.J. Brown, hey, man, you're going to be reading your book today. You're going to be reading your book because we got to slow the pass rush. We got to control the clock. And we got to make sure that we don't let Matthew Stafford throw the ball to Puka Nacua, to Cooper Kupp, to Tyler Higbee, and Kerryon Williams cannot get loose. So this, to me, is Philly has to run and run often in order to win this game. So my pick is twofold. Philly runs the ball like they're supposed to, they win the game. If the Rams make it a shootout, the Rams win this game hands down. Hands down. So that's my pick. That is my pick.
Okay.
Mr. Taylor.
Okay. Fun fact. Going into 2025, people, a running back that has ran for 345 yards and over 2,000 yards. There's been 9 of them. And out of those 9, the majority of them have regressed about 500 to 600 yards less the following year and either gotten hurt or 500 to 600 yards less. Remember that. Saquon Barkley ran over for 2,000 yards and 345 carries. I'm telling you, he's going to regress. At least 500 to 600 yards. Okay, a lot of people don't want to believe that. That's what happened to Derrick Henry when he ran for his 2,000 yards. The last time somebody ran, he got hurt middle of the season. Okay, going back to this game, you had a contradiction here, and the contradiction is this: if the Philadelphia Eagles run the football, that shortens the game. So it won't be a shootout.
There's two different scenarios. It's not a. Wait a minute.
Let me finish. When the Philadelphia Eagles run the football, it's going to shorten the game. It's not when. It's not an if. It's when they run the football. It's going to shorten the game. That means it's not going to be a shootout. It can't be a shootout if they run the football a lot and burn the clock. So I'm picking Philly all the way here. Plus the Rams. On the road for the second time. First in Arizona. Now they go back home. Now they got to all the way come to the East Coast to play against the Philly team that's got a very good defense and a very good pass defense. I love Philly in this game. Hands down. Love Philly in this game.
Okay. And like I said, if Philly grinds the ball and makes this a run-heavy matchup, they win. If the Rams start throwing the ball around and makes it a shootout, the Rams win. That's not a contradiction. That's saying how both teams, in my opinion, should play to win the game.
Well, let me
there is no contradiction.
Let me ask you the question here. Philly, for the most part of the game, for the most part of the season, I should say, what's their calling card? Running the football. Running the football.
Yeah, you're right. So
there's no if in that. They're going to run the football.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Because last time they played, Saquon ran for 280.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They're going to run the football.
However, the Rams are probably or should not allow for that to take place, and they will make it very difficult for him to run like that again. And the only way they do that is to make it a shootout, whereas Saquon is a part of the passing game, but not the focal point of the offense. That's the point that I'm making. You can make Saquon or let Saquon have his yards. However, if you make it to the point where, okay, we can no longer afford to slowly take the ball down the field, we have to get points, and we have to get points quickly. Saquon's a part of the passing game, but he's not the biggest part of the offense. It becomes AJ, it becomes Smith, it becomes Dallas Goedert. That's the point. And if that becomes the case, I prefer and I like Puka, Kupp, Higbee, and Kerryon Williams versus AJ, Smith, Goddard, Saquon. That's what I'm getting to here. You eliminate
Let me ask you
the
this.
biggest part of their game
Let me ask you this big question.
by limiting it. Yes.
Let me ask you a question. Who had the better offense and better weapons on offense? Tampa
Right now,
Wait a minute. Let me finish. Can I finish my question?
not really, but go ahead.
Forget it then, man. Forget it.
I'm saying, go ahead.
I was going to ask you who had the better offense players, Tampa or Philly?
Listen, we ain't talking about Tampa. Tampa has nothing to do with this.
Sure it does. LA played Tampa last week, didn't they?
No, Washington played Tampa last week. What are you talking about?
Oh, you're right. Who played the Rams last week?
Minnesota.
Oh, all right. But what I'm saying is this: who's got a better offense? I'm sorry. Who's got a better offensive line? Minnesota or Philly?
Obviously, well, here. Okay, your question is a legit question. However, the way I'm gonna answer it, it's to me, it is smarter to ask your question a different way. Who has a better offensive line?
Yes, that's my point. Yeah.
When it comes to rushing the ball, Philly. When it comes to pass protection, because of the numbers Sam put up, Minnesota. Even though Minnesota gave up 9 sacks last week to this Rams defense.
Okay.
But who has the better receiver? Minnesota. Hands down.
Yeah, but if Sam Darnold can't get the ball to Justin Jefferson, okay.
And listen to what I just told you.
Listen
to what I told you.
That's a mute point.
Listen to what I told you. Passing wise, and I don't like Minnesota's offensive line for passing, but I really don't like Philly's offensive line for passing either, because when under pressure, they let Jalen get hit a lot.
Sam's an immobile quarterback.
I understand that. We ain't talking about, hey, guy, we ain't talking about mobility of the quarterbacks. You asked me about the offensive line.
You're right.
The offensive
Exactly.
line.
And if the offensive line doesn't hold up, Sam Darnold gets sacked 9 times. 9 times.
Correct.
If the offensive line doesn't hold up, Jalen Hurts gets to move around and make plays.
But do you understand what you just said? That had nothing to do with the daggone offensive line, because you compared a mobile quarterback versus a statue quarterback. That is not the offensive line. That is statue versus mobility.
I still say that the Philly line is the better pass and run offensive line than it is with the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. Who has a better defensive line, the Rams or Philly?
Philly.
Nope.
Okay.
Check the numbers.
Whatever.
The Rams have more sacks than Philly. More quarterback pressures than Philly.
They run a different scheme. Okay.
Exactly. So if you're going to compare,
They run a different
offense-
scheme. If they run the
Exactly.
same, they run the
Listen.
same scheme.
Jerry, listen to how what you just said
They run a different
debunked
scheme.
your entire thought about offensive lines.
Okay.
There's a different scheme for the running / pass protection for Philly than it is for Minnesota. Minnesota is geared to do zone blocking for the run. Their tackles are not the best pass protecting tackles, so they slide protect. They don't do man-to-man protection. Philly, Mulata, the left tackle, he's good at both.
Yep.
But that offensive line is a mauling offensive line. It is not designed to set up and pass protect 40 times out of a game in a game.
That's not
because that's not their scheme. So if you're going to tell me that, okay, well, the offensive line's better for here, I'm like, no, it's not.
okay.
It's not.
You have a
But-
difference of opinion. No problem.
You would take the Rams pass rush. Listen what I'm saying. I don't want to discredit what you're saying, but I have to show you what you said. You
just have a difference of opinion. Okay.
Yeah, yes. And all I'm saying is the pass, and I said it earlier, the pass rush of the Rams is far superior than the Eagles' offensive line. But the run defense for the Rams is far not unsuperior, but less superior than the run blocking of the Eagles. You can run on that small defensive line. You can run on them.
Okay.
But if you set up to pass protect versus that defensive line, they're going to beat you to the Mulata might not get beat a lot, but a couple of those guys are going to get beat.
You got Lane Johnson on the right side too. But
And
that's
Lane
okay.
Johnson's older and he's slower. But if he gets his hands on you, cool. But these guys are fast and slippery.
Okay.
That's why I'm telling you the run blocking versus the pass protection, two totally different things when you talk about these teams.
Okay.
And that's why I'm saying if it becomes a shootout, that means the Rams linemen, they're coming. They're coming. And Jalen is going to have to run, you're right. But he's also been known to make mistakes throwing the ball when he's scrambling. And I'm telling you, don't be surprised if those backers and those safeties get a few picks if that happens.
The only
have to run the ball.
The only game that will surprise me is the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs. Every other game won't surprise me. It won't surprise me. I won't be surprised if one of these home favorites loses the game against the road underdog. It's football. Any given Sunday.
It is. So you're picking the
Philly.
Eagles.
Absolutely.
And mine is conditional. But put in a corner, I'm going to go with Philly because I think they're going to try to reestablish the dominance of the run game where on the Rams' secondary and linebackers. There's a reason why, even though Jared Versus is a candidate for Rookie of the Year, during that game that they played, that they didn't touch Jalen Hurts that much. There's a reason. Because Philly ran that rock.
That's my point.
And if it swings and the Rams score, let's say the Rams go up 17 points. That changes the dynamic of the Philadelphia.
Not much. Oh, did we lose Vic? What happened here? What happened? Did we lose Vic?
I'm out. Well, I guess I lost myself. I did not lose myself, but Mr. Taylor obviously got lost because I don't see him. But anyway, all right, guys. I guess we're out of here. Not the way I wanted it to be, but
I lost you.
it is what it is.
We
will see you guys, or I'll see you guys next. Okay. I don't know what happened to you, but I stayed on.
I'm here. I'm right here.
Yeah, well, I was here all the time. I don't know. Maybe I had a short. I didn't have a short in my internet because everything's working. But anyway, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. And I lost Jerry again. He's going in and out. Don't know what's going on, but the show is over. I thank you, folks, for tuning in. My guest, Mr. Taylor, Big Mike, even Tony's self-hating ass for the Commanders. Q, be safe. Love you, brother. And we hope that everything works out in your favor. And I will be getting out. See, that's God right there. God is making him disappear. I'll be getting out this. I don't know what's going on. I'll be getting the trophy out to that loser of a person, Mr. Taylor. And I'll be announcing all the rules for next year. Next week. So, with that being said, I appreciate everybody tuning in and appearing. It's nice when people show up. Obviously, you're not high on their priority list.
Let me ask you a question.
You know that. But with that, I'm leaving.
2025. Give it up, please.
That's not a question. We're out. As soon as I add this to the screen. Where is it at? Man, what is going on today? Something's going on today. I don't know. This Jerry Taylor guy has caused problems. I don't know. Well, let's see what happens. Everything's frozen. I'm getting out of here. Whatever Mr. Taylor did, he's the IT guy, y'all. He really is. So we know he's doing something terrible because that's just his character. We'll see y'all later.